Welcome back to another episode of the Slack Adjusters. I'm one half of the Slack Adjusters. Tim motivates, and we got
Sling V World.
man. As you can see from the title, we are speaking about trucking. We're back to trucking, so I dressed accordingly. And full disclosure, I still have flatbed tarp dust on me right now.
That's it.
Right now,
That's it.
we've been neglecting the trucking subject, but we are still very involved in the trucking industry, me, myself, and Salim. And we brought a special guest in tonight, a good friend and colleague of ours. And we're just going to talk about trucking tonight. Everybody has their predictions on 2025. A lot of people have been eager to get into 2025. And, and some people been not so eager. A lot of folks have didn't make it into 2025 as far as carriers, owner operators. Some drivers got out of the industry altogether. But tonight we're just going to talk about what we are thinking and hoping. And we brought a guest to help us with some of his predictions as well. And some of it, just some of his experience. And full disclosure, this guy has definitely been an asset to me in my career. I look at him as a mentor, and he might not know that, but I definitely appreciate the guidance he's given me over the years. And we'll introduce.
Let's bring him on in. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Jeffrey
Hey
Ashley, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you guys doing?
What's up, Jeff? Man, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks for the invite.
Man,
Yes, sir. Yes,
wow.
sir. Hey, look, man. Tim was giving you high praise.
Right.
We've been knowing each other. It's crazy because we all come together around the same time and got going around the same time, and we've all piggybacked off each other over the years, and it's been very beneficial to us. And I remember being in the garage in our front yard building edge protectors, the big metal edge protectors.
Right.
Just prepping for all kinds of loads, and just everything we've done has been instrumental. Everything you've done has been really instrumental to all of our businesses, and we all kind of built off each other. So it's fun to have a guest in here that can and have a little trifecta going here where we can all kind of put our minds together and talk about the outlook in 2025. Let's kind of get back to the little trucking space, and who better than Jeffrey Ashley.
Remember when we first got started, you and I used to race to see who would get to the shipper first in the morning.
Yes, shingles.
Yeah.
Shingles.
Yep.
That I forgot all about that, man. Like,
Yep.
Hey, man.
The first ones there.
the first one there, be sitting in line,
Yeah.
waiting for them to open up the gate, man.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand the blood, sweat, and tears and the grind it takes in order to make this type of stuff happen. They think they can just come out and buy a truck and work a regular 8 to 5, and be successful out here. That it doesn't work like that. And so we'll dive right into it. And so we don't waste. We got a lot of topics to cover. Go ahead and jump. What you got, Mr. PPE?
Yes. When I first met Jeff, once we first had a candid conversation, I asked him about his background in trucking. And Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you tell me that you went to CDL school and bought a truck and just jumped out there? You didn't have any over the road experience, any company driver experience. You got your license, you bought a truck, got your authority, and just jumped out there. Is that true?
Well, not quite. It was a 5-year gap between the time I got my license and the time I actually bought my truck.
Okay.
But I've never driven for anybody
But yourself.
but myself.
Can we give this man a round of applause?
But with that, though, there's a lot of hard lessons to be learned when you do it yourself like that. But thankfully, I have some mentors, some people who will help me out along the way.
Okay.
What about your insurance? Was your insurance ridiculously high?
No, it wasn't. First year, it was hot shot. I had
Okay.
my dually for the first
Okay.
year,
Okay.
and it was probably around 15,000 or so.
Okay.
Okay,
But
not bad.
actually, I made more money doing my hot shot than I do with my semis.
What year was
Wow.
this, Jeff?
2015. I've been 2015, so 10 years. I just hit the 10-year mark this year.
You a
Nice.
rookie, Jeff. I
I am.
got more trucks driving experience than you,
You
man.
do. You do.
You
That's why
got
you look
more
older than I
grades.
do.
You got more grades than anybody on the stream.
Mhm.
And man, you know
But the
what?
thing about it is that game has been that's 70 what 65 plus 60 years plus game
62. Yeah.
62, as far as game goes. And so for you to make a boss move like that, you didn't have to be in the game for so long. It still made it work. So you could probably come out and open up a bakery if you want to and be successful in it with all the experience and knowledge because it translates well,
Right. Yeah.
so that's a good thing. Um and that's awesome. So um tell us a little bit about let's let you jump it off then. That'll be a good way to do it. 2025 we're in 2025, we're in the beginning, and flatbed is our slow, and for everybody it's our slowest time of the year. um Tell us what your outlook is for 25 when it comes down to trucking and how you think it's going to look.
Who knows? The best way to sum it up is I'm hopeful that things will turn around.
Okay.
Last year was a decent year for us. It was actually pretty good.
Mm.
But after November 5th, for me, things slowed down. After the election, things slowed down for us.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So hopefully, flatbed season, it should be kicking off pretty good real soon. So hopefully that will be the case, and the rates will hopefully go up a little bit because
Yeah.
there are loads out there now. If you want to haul a load for $100.50 a mile, you can stay busy all day,
Right.
Crazy,
but it
crazy.
Yeah.
won't last long.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was looking at the load board yesterday around 4 o'clock, and I think I had it set at like 125-mile radius of Atlanta, and it showed 18 loads available at that time.
Yeah.
18 loads leaving. So even at a $1.25, $1.50 a mile, 18 loads, man. I'm talking
Mm.
about. I remember back when I was working with Celine back in the day as an owner op, I would see like 50, 60 loads, and I would be panicking. Like, or
Mm-hmm.
let's say like 40, 50. I'd be like, man, what's going
Yeah.
on? Salim ain't nothing out here, man. I'm about to deadhead back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but going back to what you just said about after the election, things slowed down after the whatever November 7th or whatever. It's funny. A lot of people was just thinking they were going to wake up to a whole bunch of freight, man, and we didn't.
Yeah.
We woke up to less loads, man. It was
Yeah.
um, it was definitely and still has been. It's been like a roller coaster, man. I used to call it a roller coaster of love, but I can't even call
Yeah.
it that no more, man. So how are you?
But
Go ahead.
you said 18 loads though. But after COVID, those things changed. So like during COVID, a lot of companies who are shippers, they added inventory. They added trucks to their inventory. They
Yeah,
hired their own drivers because rates were so high. They added their own equipment to lower the freight costs.
yeah,
And plus, too, coupled with that, though, you got brokers who like dealing with certain people. Like most of the loads I do would never, even with brokers, would never go on the low board because they would call me.
right.
I'm sure you guys have the same situation. There's
Right.
still
Right. Right.
a lot of freight moving. It's just pushed in a different direction.
Yeah, they
Right.
used to call the well. Some people still refer to the low board as the leftovers and the trash
Right.
freight,
Mhm.
and man, it's seeming more like the garbage disposal
And
as of right
now
now.
too, there's so much fraud out here too. So brokers are skeptical who they deal with, though.
Mm.
Glad you mentioned that, man. We spoke earlier about Carrier 411,
Yep.
and not just that. I wanted to ask you about tracking. You know, a lot of the tracking, the RMIS systems. One of the systems we use to set up carrier packets? Somebody throw
Or
it out there.
well,
Highway.
RMIS, highway,
Highway,
uh,
right?
my carrier packet.
Mm-hmm.
My carrier, that was like
Yeah.
the top one, and it was very streamlined. And
Yeah.
now they got my carrier. Was my carrier not highway?
Highway.
I've been
Yeah.
recently hearing things about uh, or getting notifications. So first I heard about them wanting to get connected to our ELD. They got a little tab there for you to connect your ELD. Have you done
Mm-hmm.
that so that they could track you through your ELD?
Not with highway, no. There
But
are
you,
certain brokers who we allow access to our ELD, but there's only a couple.
so did you
And
fight it at first? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but did you fight it? Because I feel like, man, we're just giving them way too much of our.
we are because I was in the truck yesterday, went out to Augusta, came back and picked up a load and brought it back to Metro Atlanta. The broker wanted micropoint,
Right.
Right.
and I looked at the history today. But see, after came back to Atlanta yesterday, I did a lot of running around. I pulled up the history this morning, looked at micropoint. Everywhere I went in my car, it was on the micropoint.
Oh
The stop
wow.
that I made, yeah, and the
Wow.
time. So yeah, it's just too intrusive to, in my opinion now.
I used to
And
be
every
good
and
at.
every
I'm sorry.
and it's the brokers who want that. It's not the shippers or the receivers. It's the brokers who want this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we deal with the same shippers all the time,
Yeah.
and they're not requesting this. It's just the brokers who are requesting it.
But why'd you? I'm just curious. Why would you give them access to it? Did you need to load that bad? Was it someone you had a relationship with? Because even back when tracking was new, like, hey, I need you to download this app. It was times where we could say, hey, I don't allow tracking, man. I don't do that tracking mess here. I'll update you. Check my MC number. I'm good in these streets. And that's just me talking slang, but
Right.
can you answer that
It's
question? Like,
it's
what made you
become
do
so
it?
pervasive now that most brokers do require it. Now you read this rate confirmation, and if you don't accept it, they deduct $200 from a $500 load.
Yeah.
For
You
tracking, I
you
mean,
right, yeah.
we,
You get the settlement and say minus $200. You didn't track.
But a lot of guys aren't updating. Like when we have our drivers, they won't update me. I'm trying to track them and figure things out. They want to know where their freight is. It's a very high and stressful situation. So I understand tracking, but it is intrusive at times. So there's got to be a balance. I think.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking them for that because I'll update every time my phone rings. I'm answering it, and I'm trying to monitor my emails. But I can see how a lot of carriers do not communicate because hell, I've had drivers when I try to get in touch with them, they won't answer the phone. So it's a touchy little situation, but everybody needs to be everybody wants to be happy, and so they're gonna push the envelope, and if you're not careful, then they're gonna put a ding on you and carry a 411. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
They will.
So I mean, I try to stay away from the stuff like the tracking as far as the ELD stuff. I don't want to let them in that much, but I try to be ultra responsible when it comes to answering that phone and staying up on it. So it's crazy, but it's the same thing as the front facing cameras and the road facing cameras.
they're gonna want access to our cameras.
They go on to access, but they can't get
They're
access to the
gonna
cameras.
want, man. We didn't know that could have access to our cell phones. We didn't know that they could
Yeah,
They get. Excuse me, I'm getting riled up.
yeah,
They get access to what we allow them to, man. And
yeah.
I gotta circle back, Jeff.
Mhm.
What made you want to, like, or trust them to give them access to your ELD?
The
Well,
low
they
pay
don't have
grip.
access. They don't have access to complete everything that I have access to in my on my admin portal.
But
They
they're
only have
tracking you through it.
they
What
don't
made
they have
you?
to track it. The one reason is because I have a older driver who is challenged when it comes to electronics.
Okay,
So it's easier for my back office to just send them the link for the ELD
Yeah,
versus trying to get my driver set up on micropoint or
that
trucker
makes
tool.
that makes so
Much
much
easier
sense
to
to
do
me.
that. Yeah.
Man, I'm glad you said that because I got an older driver. I was just gonna share a story yesterday. Um, he got empty early, and I was gonna have to send him home. And I found the load on the load board, and it required tracking. This guy sucks when it comes to devices, right?
Mhm.
So, and he claimed he don't get no calls, he don't get no text messages. So I got
We
him
have the
on.
same driver.
So
my phone
look,
never rang.
let me
What
tell
do you
you
say?
what happened. Let me tell you how I had to do this because I was so frustrated. The broker was like, "Hey, make sure he accepts that tracking." Now I was like, "Look, I'm gonna warn you now. He's not great with his phone, but I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna walk him through it. Just hold that load for me." I called my driver, tell him, hey, download Trucker Tools. It's already on my phone. All right, cool. All right. The broker said he sent you a text message. Did you get a text message? Oh, I ain't got no text message. All right. I called the broker 3-way. So the broker believed me now. Like the broker here, me and my driver interacting. I'm like, hey, can you walk him through it, man? Because he send a message again. He sent a message. My driver claimed no message come through. The broker gets so frustrated with us, he just put us on hold. And you know, when you go on hold with a broker, they pretty much hanging up on you. So I try to walk my driver through it, and I just broke down and I said, look, just sit where you're at. Let me call this guy back. And I said, look, man, if you look at my MC number and you talk to Blake is another broker that works at that same company. He's like, yeah, I know Blake. I was like, ask Blake about us, man. We do a lot of loads for you guys. We're not going to screw you around. I'm going to give you updates the old school way, but we need this load. He's like, you know what, man, I don't usually do this, but you download the app and I'm just going to track you. They're going to bother me if somebody's not tracking the load. So he had me, accept the tracking and just keep him updated via email or phone. And that's how we did it. So I'm glad you explained the whole ELD thing. That makes me feel a little bit more, open to giving them access to it, man.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Any more
Yeah.
thoughts?
Honestly, I prefer to have them have access to my ELD, my truck, versus my personal cell phone.
Yeah.
Especially after what you found out that they was tracking you in your personal car.
Mm-hmm.
You still drive the Escalade, right?
I have a couple Escalades.
Yeah. Really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice. I like your style, Jeff.
And so in 2025, and we want to get back into where the projections are. We got a good clip of a renowned motivation. Is he a motivational speaker, Tony Robbins?
Oh yeah.
What's his name? Tony Robbins?
It's Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins, and he's like a very influential motivational speaker. He seems like he invests in and does a lot of investments and whatnot. But he made some good points about patterns and trends, which he can explain better. We'll look at it. But let's watch this video, and then I want to come back to you two and see what patterns and trends have you all seen over the years, and see what how, if we can kind of predict what's going to happen in the upcoming 2025.
And I got into businesses and figuring out the patterns in businesses. It's all patterns, as you know, Patrick. Like if anyone listening wants to say, okay, the world seems uncertain. And yeah, I have 5 kids and 5 grandkids. So I have a 50-year-old daughter and I have a 3.5-year-old daughter, because 3 of my kids I adopted early on when I was just 24, 25 years old. And so I look at my grandkids, especially, and my youngest daughter, and I think 40% of the jobs, if you believe the studies, are going to be gone because of AI, because of robotics, because of nanotechnology and so forth. So how do I arm them to do well in the future? And the answer is there's 3 skills everybody needs, and they're so simple. And they're the skills that make anybody masterful. It's made you successful in your insurance business. It's what's made you successful in this business. The first thing is pattern recognition. If you start recognizing patterns, fear disappears. Because like right now, when people say, oh, we've never been so divided, or now the country has a little more optimism, but we've never been so divided. It's total BS. I can show you the letters that are put out that were posted between Jefferson and Adams. And if you read what they wrote, it makes anything the left or right has said about each other look calm compared to that. So it's like we go in cycles. So when you recognize a pattern, you no longer react. It's like losers react, leaders anticipate. Anticipation is power. So when you know the pattern, and that's what makes anybody great, they see the pattern. But what makes them really great is the second skill, when you learn to use the patterns. So if you and I look at anybody, you see somebody that's great in investing, and I've interviewed more than 50 of the very best in the world. The Ray Dalias, the Carl Icahns, the Warren Buffetts, all the best in private equity. And what you begin to see is there are certain patterns, even though they go about it differently, that are universal. If you sow the same seeds, you reap the same rewards, but they know how to use it. If you see somebody great in music or dance or a movie maker, they know where to move the camera to move your emotion. They bring it in close, when to bring the music up, how to do it. They know it. That makes them masterful. But the third level skill is pattern creation. That's what you've begun to do. That's what I've begun to do. It's like when you learn to play a piano, most people learn someone else's patterns. You learn to see the patterns, recognize them, then you learn to use them. But if you do enough other music, then now you get to come out and you start creating things. So I'm standing on the shoulders of all the people before me, as are you, because I learned so many things to them. But now at this stage of my life, the last 15, 20 years, I've been able to create things because I know what those patterns are. So those skill sets, that's how my kids will do well. Because if you can learn rapidly and recognize patterns, there's nothing you can't do well at. And that.
Okay. So when you think about what he just said there, pattern recognition, seeing how the trends are going to play out, and then creating patterns. What is your thoughts on that, Jeffrey?
Let me hear Tim's thoughts on this.
I just
Shoot,
want to
Tim.
start off by saying, now I know why this guy get paid millions of dollars per
But he
speech.
make you feel good, don't he? He just bring the funk, don't he?
Just be saying stuff that we know already, but we done forgot, or we just
Yeah.
common sense stuff. But he's right.
He is spot on.
And man, he said something profound. Losers react and winners anticipate. So we've been in this game. All of us doing flatbed right now. I know you dabbled. Both of y'all dabbled in dry van a little bit, but we know what we're coming up on early spring, right? Late winter. What's running right? What's going to be running or running right now?
Soil mulch. I've seen trucks running down the street today,
Right.
coming out of Scott's.
Right.
Yeah.
We can anticipate the mulch right around this time. Over the last 3 years, Jeff, we can anticipate it being very cheap, right?
Right.
Very cheap trash freight, and we know where they're coming out of. But we know the places that pay well is also. We're not going to mention those, Salim. Okay.
I got you.
So when it comes to patterns in trucking, what's your thoughts on that, Mister Jeff?
That's what I'm trying to see what Tony just said, how it relates to what we're doing. Pattern recognition.
Well, let me give a
Okay.
stab. Let me give a stab at it because it lets
Okay.
you kind of marinate a little bit more, Jeffrey. Because here's how I see it. I'll give you a couple of examples. Every year, I start panicking because guess what? November, December, holidays. You miss 2 days during Thanksgiving. You miss 2 days during the weekend on Christmas. You miss a day or two out of the New Year's. Those weeks are slow. The freight's already slow. We know that's going to happen. You see what I'm saying? So we know that's going to happen. These are patterns. What's going to happen? Like you said, in January, mid-January, February, things start picking up. The weather is our flatbed's Achilles heels. You see what I'm saying? So if the weather can hold up, things can turn around. It typically picks back up. You just got to be ready, set, go. You got to survive through these slow times. And what happens during the holiday season? Food runs very well. You see what I'm saying? The Corlos, the public, that stuff runs well. So these are patterns. It's always nerve-wracking when you're coming out of your good season, you know what I mean? And you get into the slow season. So, but yet it's still hard to shake because it's still almost like it's unknown, but it's not unknown. It is a pattern. And it gives you, like I always tell my people, I don't look day to day, I look year to year. So we were already thinking about this. And every time I bring guys on, I'm like, listen, this is what's going to happen. So you need to be ready for it. And we are ready for it. So that's why we know my guys jump on certain other types of load, power only. Now we're, things are starting to pick back up. So our options, we know who to look for. We got emails coming in from these other so-called cheap freight that you're talking about. It might not be our ideal freight to take, but we're going to take it and keep us alive. And then we don't react. We don't react. We just sit back and we move accordingly. You see what I'm saying? That's how I understood that and how it relates to what we're talking about. But the third step, creating patterns, right?
What about the second step though?
When he said, just
What
kind
was the
of,
second step, Jeff?
Yeah, I didn't really get that. I don't know what was like. I know the third step was pattern creation, but the second step was
Well, look, this is. So I sent Salim that video to queue up. What I specifically wanted to talk about, and what I wanted us to get into was how crazy the patterns have been over the last few years. That's the really um, the thing I wanted to ask you guys about and see if y'all could relate to this. Now we know in the winter, late winter time, we got mulch going into the spring. Deeper into spring and summer, closer to summer, it gets a little bit more expensive. Later, well, let's say later in the spring, it gets a little cheaper. But then after that, what are we looking forward to? What pattern do we got? We really know is it's going to be a lot of the springtime stuff, material moving, early winter, early to mid spring.
And things are going to open back up. So things are going to open back up. The construction is going to get back better. You see what I'm saying? The infrastructure work is going to happen. People are going to do more landscaping. It always opens back up. In 2025, are we going to have more of a repeat like 2020 and 21? Or is it going to be more like 2024, 2023, where it was slower and more of a correction type situation? That's the real question. How do you feel about that?
But I think we need to personally, though, I'm struggling over here because I think we need to take a deeper look into this pattern recognition, though, because
Okay.
just the simple industry that we're in, it's hard to compete because you got a lot of people out there who will move freight for a lot less than what we would move it for. So I think we need to dive deeper into this pattern recognition other than just plain old picking up a load and dropping off a load. There's a lot more to it than that. They should be anyway to get us to that next level.
Okay.
But
So
what that is, I'm still struggling to come up with that though. I don't have it yet, but I'm working on it.
do you feel like people are too many carriers are in our space right now that shouldn't be in our space?
Well, not saying they shouldn't be in the space, but there are too many, like during COVID, because rates are so good. A lot of people, a lot of investors, the internet was flooded with people talking about how you can become a millionaire in trucking, and subsequently, a lot of people jumped in, overpaid for their vehicles, and now they're either sitting and repossessed, or most are just barely hanging on if they're still hanging on.
Right.
Right. What do you say? Excuse me for interrupting. What do you say those carriers are the ones that kind of, are responsible for a lot of the low rates we're seeing, or we've been seeing?
That is one of the issues. Yeah.
Okay. What's another one?
Brokers, in my opinion, just brokers greed. Brokers are greedy.
And that takes us back to patterns, right? When freight is booming, they say it's the truckers, it's the truckers' time. And over the last year or so, I've been hearing, people say, well, now it's the brokers' time. I mean, and I've had brokers tell me that. I had one broker say specifically, "Don't hate the player, hate the game." Because the rates were down and it was plenty of trucks trying to get that same, we're all chasing that same load.
Yeah.
But when there was,
Yeah.
More loads than trucks, it was our time. I mean, that was a pattern. But I guess my whole thing was like, man, I can't pick up a pattern outside of the stuff that we're used to. We know that around December, hell, if flatbed is slow, you might be able to go Amazon relay. You might be able to do some of those power only Kroger loads that Salim was talking about. The dry van guys, they look forward to hauling Christmas trees, November. Watermelons, in certain parts of the state run in the springtime, pay well, used to. But yeah, I guess to close that topic, I figured you guys might be able to give me some more insight on patterns or something we could look at, or some insight on how the patterns have helped or hurt you guys.
The patterns are like I said, there's patterns to it, but how do we use those patterns to predict the future? That's really how I take it and what I look to do. There's another pattern that happens every 4 years.
Oh,
and that pattern is an election. So we're just coming off a new election cycle. We're bringing in a new president. Up or down, Jeffrey, on this? Let me know.
Up or down on what? On what?
How
up or down on what?
How's that? How's that gonna? How is Donald Trump coming in? What is it going to look like for the market? Is it going to be no different? Is it better for trucking? Is it going to be worse for trucking, or is it no different? Everything flows the same.
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Because he's unpredictable.
Okay.
I was talking to one of my shippers a couple weeks ago and asking him what his pipeline looked like. He said that he told me a lot of people putting stuff on hold because they just don't know.
Right.
They just don't know. It's too much uncertainty right now. Like if he does a lot of deportation, the mass deportation like they promise, that's going to kill us. All these job sites will go dark.
Mm. Oh, so that's a good angle. Deportation hurts construction, and that's directly affects flatbed.
It directly affects flatbeds.
Okay. But when we start, and what about tariffs as well, Tim? That's a good. Let's get your thoughts on that. When you say tariffs, what do you think about tariffs as far as bringing in freight, or will it help bring freight in, or is it going to stop freight coming in to our ports?
I think that's another. I guess that's another elephant in the room for a lot of us business owners, man, because you know we know that Trump is a businessman. We may disagree whether he was a good or bad businessman, but I think we could agree that he's for business. And a lot of people voted for him thinking that, okay, well, he's going to be for the businessman and, help small businesses grow and all that stuff. But after communicating with and listening to the news, a lot of major corporations, shippers, manufacturers, receivers, they are kind of leery on what the tariffs are going to do. So we are a little stagnant right now in the economy. I was at Walmart the other day, and the dude was telling me how stocked up their back room was because Walmart's been ordering all this material in preparations for higher tariffs, on the stuff they get from China. So I guess when it comes to that, man, it's I think Jeff made a good point a few minutes ago when he was like he's unpredictable because Trump talk a lot of smack, but that doesn't mean he's gonna do everything that he said he's gonna do. He
Well,
like to ruffle a few feathers, right?
he put tariffs on during the first administration, though.
Right.
And what did that do?
What did that
It
do?
wiped it.
I had better freight. Now the ports were dry. The
No, but
ports sucked out there
like
in Savannah.
like for example, my family down in South Georgia, we have a lot of, they call them pecans down there. Some people call them pecans.
Mm-hmm.
But when he put those tariffs on, the price dropped from like $1.25 a pound wholesale to around 50 cents a pound. Soybeans during that time period, farmers were actually just cutting them down because there was no market for them. They had to do $18 billion bill just to compensate farmers for all the losses that they occurred when he put these tariffs on back in 2017, 2018. It
But
didn't work then.
okay, so can you help me understand because I mean I'm guessing they're farming those products to ship out, right?
Right. The buyers
Um,
just the buyers just find different markets to buy their products from.
mm, got you.
Hmm.
I
They
thought
find
it
different.
affected the freight coming in, not the freight going out.
Tariffs affects the tariffs that he put on stuff will affect freight coming in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it will affect it coming in.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you got any thoughts on it, Salim?
Yeah. I mean, look, it, uh, it it's all the same. Like when I think about when I hear Trump, okay, and I listen to the current administration, which goes out in a couple days, I hear a person coming in, shaking things up. You know what I mean? I hear him talking. At least I can hear clear talking points.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can hear him saying, "Listen, y'all we've been sending out too much money. It's time for some of that money to come back over here." You know what I mean? I hear him saying, "We do something for everybody else. We need people doing things for us." He's saying all the things that needs to be said. Where I listen to this other administration, I don't. Nothing's clear to me. You see what I'm saying? I don't hear anything. No direct points. No clear, um, approach to what's going to directly help us. And you know what I mean? So that's the kind of stuff. And I don't have all the details in front of me right now, but I can tell you right now, when Trump, and he's not even in office yet, and he got people, shaking and baking right now. Okay, he's like, they know he's coming. Now, that doesn't mean that my pockets are going to get any better. That doesn't mean that the price of truck parts are going to go down. That doesn't mean that the service is going to get better right off bat, or fuel is going to drop. But was fuel cheaper during the Trump administration or versus the Biden administration? You see what I'm saying? So I'm looking for things that we're talking specifically in trucking. The things that he do as a businessman, and the world affects what happens at home, and what happens at home affects the world. What specifically is he going to do? Is he going to do something specific? And is it going to be an outlook? Is the outlook for 2025 going to look better than it did in 2024, 23, 22, 21? That's what I want to know.
Let me ask you something though. During this campaign, did he promise anything that was specifically help your life become better?
So he did not. I don't think he spoke in anything that I can remember that he said specifically that said, "Oh, in my life it's going to be better." Like I said, it could be. Like I said, I don't know how the tariffs is going to shake up the trucking industry. I mean, infrastructure is huge in for flatbed. Infrastructure is huge. I think between both administrations, they don't play with infrastructure. You know what I mean? I think that's a given. But when we talk about freight coming into the country, right? When we talk about freight coming into the country, right? That affects us. Why? Because if infrastructure is doing well, and people are not moving freight from ports and moving the drive-in freight, what do? They come into a market that's working right now. They come into our space. Man, hey, you got a flatbed for sale? Let me go buy a flatbed so I can do what they're doing, and that dilutes our market. So that's how I see those things. I'm like, let's get that port freight back jumping. Let's get and I think he's trying to put a stronghold on places like China and all these other countries. And just like the BRICS situation, you see what I'm saying? He's like, look, if y'all go out here and start trying to mess around with the dollar, then start your own dollar, 100% tariffs on all of you. So don't play with us. Little things like that. I just like to see action happening. I want to see action.
I think when it comes to comparing the last administration to this new administration coming up, the American people in general are just thinking about what their life felt like back then, even if they were complaining or not, versus how it's been over the last 4 years. And people felt better during the Trump administration. A lot of people don't study politics and don't know trends and, stuff like that. But folks can remember how they felt.
But let me push back on that a little bit, Tim.
Yes.
You remember he ran for re-election.
Yes.
And he lost because of a reason. People didn't feel that good at all. COVID was raging out of control. We couldn't go to, people were literally fighting in stores over toilet tissue because there were none on the shelf. You went to Home Depot during that time. We all went to Home Depot and Lowe's. The shelves for lumber were empty. You couldn't get it. And when it came back, that's when the prices were 2-3 times what it was before COVID. Correct? Yes, no.
It was.
Yeah.
Following you.
So people somehow have amnesia at 2020. What happened in 2020? Things were horrible. That's why he didn't get reelected, though.
I think, and this is
So
just my opinion.
things were okay during 19, 17, 18, 19. Things were okay, but 2020 was a crappy year for most people.
Well, let me tell you what happened with that, and a lot of people. Okay, so I think the COVID, the COVID shutdown is what jammed people up. It wasn't. I don't think it was because of Trump administration. It was because of the COVID, and I think that right there, that shook the world. And everybody want to talk about how you handle it and all this kind of stuff. And I think I don't know if he could have handled it any differently, or if anybody would have handled it any better.
Well,
What
yeah,
I'm saying is, go ahead.
history shows you. Canada, for example, has 60% of the death, less death. Canada's death rate for doing COVID was 60% less than what it was here.
Man, America, everybody lets America in. America lets everybody in. America lets anything goes. And then people were dying from COVID that they were dying from COVID and it wasn't even COVID. Somebody got shot in the head and they called it a COVID death related. You know what I'm saying? Everything was COVID related. No matter how they die, this. So I mean, I don't want to.
Okay.
We knew that was a big thing. But here's the real point I was trying to get to. Look, after COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we got through COVID and the shutdown part of it. They dumped a lot of money into the system. When you talk about inflation, how does inflation happen? It happens when you pump more money and create more money. You see what I'm saying? So the price of everything shot up, and now everybody feels the effect of that. You see what I'm saying? And this almost is to the point of the Democrats were adding money. It was helping people, PPP loans. That created money out of nowhere, out of thin air. And that in turn makes the cost of everything else go up. The more you have of something in the system, the less valuable, the less it's worth. So, and then the shutdown kind of stopped the flow of the lumber coming into the shelves. It wasn't that the lumber wasn't there. It wasn't like it was less trees in the forest that they could cut down. And they had nobody to work it, so it didn't make it back to when it made it back. It was expensive. You see what I'm saying? It's like we bought an RV at that time. They stopped making RVs for a point in time, so the ones that were left was expensive, and then they tried to hurry and rush them back out there, and they was jacked up. Now the lots are full of RVs, but the RVs are still overpriced because of all the money in the system. That's inflation 101. You see what I'm saying? So I mean,
you said that the Democrats and PPE.
PPP,
Who signed the
PPP loans.
PPP? Who signed it? Yeah, I'm looking at Tim in that vest. But who signed that PPP loan? Who signed the paper? Who signed the bill for PPP? Who was it?
It might have been Trump. I don't know who did.
It was during 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, it was late 2020. Yeah.
So they pushed the PPP loan in, and once again, they blend together. I'm not one of these people that think that one side is better than the other. They all really, in essence, work together in the end. You see what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is we're trying to look at the trends and patterns. That's why I like what Tony Robbins said.
Yeah.
He didn't come in here and say, oh man, we need to get these Democrats out of here because the Republicans is a guaranteed win for us. He said, look at the trends. You see what I'm saying? I just want to look at the trends and see how it's going to play out. Yeah. And one of the trends that I tell you that I've always noticed over the past several years is that inflation trend. When they dump money, dump, and then it affects everybody. So everybody thinks the price of everything goes up, freight gets cheaper, and all this other kind of stuff. A large part of it is what the dollar is doing. So we got to look at that, and we got to take these lessons in some way, shape, form, or fashion, and predict for 2026. We're looking at 2025. We're asking the hard questions. You see what I'm saying? We're asking those hard questions, and somehow we need to get the answer for people who know. And then because he said, I have to believe what he said. Yeah. And we look in 2026 come around, we do the same podcast, and we already had a game plan. We moving and implementing it. Yeah. That's all I care about. That's how I want to see it. So do I go out right now and buy another flatbed? Do I buy a step deck? Do I need to make the move to a Landau or a Lowboy? Do I need to jump in drive in? What is the move right now so that our trucking companies can be successful for this year on out, and we can survive? And when things pick back up, we roll and we shake it, we move and shake it and bacon. That's the kind of questions that we've had. We might not get that answer now, but we need to be looking towards it.
But that's the question of recognizing the patterns that do we need to diversify out of the flatbed, drive-in, RGN, Landau, or look at what we really do is need to look at what those guys are doing in DC.
Okay.
Follow their pattern, recognize their pattern, because something is afoot to transfer some money, in my opinion. And we need to be on the lookout on what's happening with that, because Trump, he has his own crypto platform going on now.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, yeah, World Financial, something like that. I have to Google it to be sure, but yeah, they started that last year. So that's the pattern that I'm going to be looking for anyway. What those guys in DC are doing.
Yeah. And in regards to like just how they move as far as just the whole
Moving
general
period.
picture.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's reports of that America's trying to store Bitcoin now. So they really want to be one of the biggest buyers of Bitcoin. And I'm not a believer in crypto, not one little bit. I hate crypto, to be honest with you. I like
But
blockchain. I
yeah.
think that's pretty cool. But as far as using it as a currency,
Yeah.
I believe I believe an existing fiat currency can be made digital. I don't believe that we can go out here and create a digital currency out of thin air and it be a decentralized currency that can't be tracked or it sounds good, but what company, what central bank or established, fiat currency will allow that to happen in their country? Nobody's not going to allow that to happen. They're not going to allow it to happen.
Right. You say that, but Elon Musk is right there next to him now, and he's a
Mhm.
huge Doge guy, Dogecoin guy.
Let me tell you something about Elon Musk. I'm gonna tell y'all something about Elon Musk. I'm gonna tell you something about all these guys. I don't care how rich they are and what they've accomplished. They know they got to play ball. They got to play the game. That's all they're doing. He's playing Doge. Doge is nothing. It can't accomplish nothing. The real guy, the real people whoever runs the Federal Reserve and owns the dollar, those are the people that really make the moves. You see what I'm saying? Do not let anybody come here and mess with their baby. Their baby is the dollar. That's their baby. You see what I'm saying? So you can play crypto all you want, but you better be buying that crypto with dollar. And then when you want to go spend that crypto, you better be transferring
Right.
it back to the
Right.
dollar. So
Exactly.
all that other stuff don't really matter.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I did a little research and somebody was telling me, oh man, you can pay your bills with crypto. You can pay your, and we Googled it, right? And then I looked at AT&T. Oh, okay. AT&T does allow you to spend crypto. You know how you got to do it? You got to buy crypto and you with your money, with your dollars, right? And then you use that crypto platform, their own little platform, to pay for it, and then it gets transferred back to the dollar to them
Right. Hmm.
with a fee.
Right. With a fee.
That's stupid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Here's
Hmm.
I'm gonna cut that middleman out. Here's my dollar. Pay your bill, and I'm done. Why do I want to jump on your platform, your Coinbase or your platform, right? And it might go up a little bit, it might drop a little bit. I'm not playing that game. You see what I'm saying? I'll look at other means of investing and making money. The crypto sounds good, in theory, but it's if you understand money, if you understand fiat currency, you understand what's true store of wealth. I believe it's got to have multiple, um, something that's really truly valuable has to have multiple uses and multiple purposes. That's why fiat currency is really, really the only thing that makes it valuable is the faith that the people put in it, right? That's why it used to be backed by gold and silver. Dude, if you think about gold and silver, it used to be a currency, but guess what? It could be used for other things. Silver is used in industry, gold is used in industry, but you can't move gold around like that. So, I believe guns are a store of wealth. I can hunt with guns. I can protect myself with guns. So we're gonna get into that crypto talk, but I mean, you think about what they're doing. I don't want to go too off on the deep end, but
Yeah, let's
that's
bring
it.
let's reel it back in, guys.
Yeah. Because we got owner ops, mega carriers.
I mean, we just trying to get in. I mean, we don't have to dive too much into all of that, but I'm just saying. But you get the point. We get the point. We look at it stimulates our thinking, and that's what we want to do here. That's lack
Yeah,
of justice. We want to
Yeah.
stimulate the thinking, and we want to ask the questions, and hopefully we spark some good ideas and get some good think tanking going, and we can find the next move and not have to be
And
trying the
and
same old game
and that's
with
pattern
your
creation.
family.
That's
And
pattern creation
there
in
you
the end.
go. There you go. We trying to get to the pattern creation
look,
That's
and
we
finish something.
we agreed to have a hard out around this time.
Yeah.
Uh, can we hold on to you for maybe another 7 minutes, Ashley,
Oh yeah, I'm good.
Jeff? Let me ask you this, man. Let's get back to trucking for a little bit. Now you've been running multiple trucks for the last few years. Based off your experience, what do you feel? How do you feel about owner operators hiring owner ops versus company drivers, having company drivers?
I personally prefer to have my own equipment
Okay.
versus having owner operators. Yeah,
I bet.
it works best for me. I've had owner operators. I got got rid of one last week, so I don't have any owner operators right now. But I just prefer to have my own assets. Keep a tight rein on everything as far as more accountability with the drivers. I know what equipment. I know the equipment, the shape my equipment is in, and I can just manage the operation better. Versus if I had an operation completely with owner operators and no assets of my own, that'd be a different story. But I have a lot of assets, so I just prefer to just manage my assets.
Yeah. Yeah. Over the last few years, I've been running my operation with owner ops, and it's starting to become very annoying. And I think this year, 2025, I'm gonna be looking to add my first company driver. Guys, y'all want to clap for me? All right,
I mean,
stop.
Well, if you're hiring, they send me a link to your application. I may take a
yeah,
look at it.
yeah, I might have to jump in your truck too myself. But there's pros and cons to owner operators and company drivers. Company driver's not going to take care of your truck like owner operator is going to care about his truck very well. I mean, what is your experience when it comes to that? Owner operators kind of care about the equipment more than they care about yours. Jeffrey.
Me?
Yep.
Um,
Wake up, Jeff.
yeah, that's true. That's certainly true. But again, though, with my assets, they're all right there in one location. So I look at my equipment all the time myself. On my yard where I park, there's a guy with dump trucks. He has like 6 dump trucks. His drivers don't even have to check the oil in their trucks. They just get
Mm,
in, just start it up because he's out there every night looking
hmm.
at everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lou,
Jamaican?
So
Is he Jamaican?
yeah, he's not. He's not.
Okay.
listen, I
Is
work
that
for a
is that
company.
racist?
It is. It is.
Okay. My
A lot of
apologies.
mercy. I would.
No mercy.
I would. I work for a company like that in New Jersey, and when I tell you, they hired a guy. When you come in, and you drop. They don't even want you to pop the hood. They looked at all their equipment. They were like vigilant on keeping up with their equipment. A pre-trip was done, a post-trip was done, and we had to put the fuel in the truck, but they actually parked the truck and they looking through it. I mean, they every day. So they kept their equipment up, they kept it on point. That was a pretty it was a genius idea. They spent a little bit more money on that end of the upkeep and maintenance, but yeah, they
Yeah.
took good care of it. And guess what? They saw it every day, and they saw if you were being neglectful with your equipment. Um, if you can do that, yes, um, that's a good idea. That works. I tend to think that my guys are going to care about the equipment, and I have to go behind them and do random inspections and checks on owner operators' equipment so that they don't get behind the 8 ball with it. So it's it's about what you're doing and what you feel good about. I don't have a. I tend to like the owner operator side more, but I can see where the driver side can be good too.
All right. Appreciate y'all input on that. This will be the final question. And I guess going into 2025 and with insurance rates so high and, you know, most insurance companies requiring certain things, a big thing has been cameras. What is your take on cameras inside the truck? Do you have cameras front facing, driver facing, both? What's your take on it, Jeff?
I have front facing cameras. Don't have driver facing cameras.
Okay.
But the front facing cameras though are really great.
Mm-hmm.
They've saved us several times with accident when we've been involved in accidents
Mm-hmm.
because the
Boy,
driver who caused the accidents claims something else, but you pull up the camera and you see something totally different.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like those. I've just recently switched ELDs, and the one I have now, the camera I have now is more AI, has more AI with the camera, and I really like that. It talks to you all the time.
we're
Really?
not going to name the name of that company, but is it a company that you went back to?
No,
Oh, okay. Oh, you didn't go back to these very
no,
popular people. Oh, okay.
no,
So this
no. It's first time.
okay. Okay. Um, man, that same story happened with me where a driver got in an accident. No, one of the drivers, another driver hit our truck, the trailer on the back, and he didn't maintain his lane, but he was claiming that our driver drifted and hit him. But we was able to pull up the camera, and minutes before it happened and right when it happened, we never saw the truck hit the trailer because we didn't have that angle. But guess what it showed? It showed him maintaining, my driver maintaining his lane.
Right.
The cops saw that, wrote the other guy a ticket. So I always try to tell my guys, the camera is vital right now, man. I used to not be, I don't like the rear facing cameras. I feel like I like the idea. I can understand a company doing it, but I wouldn't want to drive it for nobody like that. I'm just being honest.
Right.
But that front facing camera is it's almost like mandatory right now. It is. It is. So I do that. And I had another story where a driver had an accident and it showed the truth and everything. But even when you're at fault, listen, even when you're at fault in an accident, right? It can save you in a way because and this is one, and I hate to put this information out there because this should be for only carriers, and I hope the four-wheelers don't get behind it and use it to their advantage. But look, let's say so a lot of times then people get in an accident and they'll claim something and they be, oh, I'm hurt, but they'll jump out the car, they be running around, walking, talking, dancing, shaking, yelling, and screaming, pointing. And then the next day, oh, I'm dead, I'm hurt, I'm blah, blah, blah. Well, now we got you. So I advise drivers to always take pictures of these people, always record them. It shows a different story. You know what I mean? Because a lot of fraudulent stuff. That's fraudulent. You claiming that you're hurt now, you want to get paid, and just because a truck barely tapped you. And so these cameras tell the tale. And it's absolute must have right now. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've recently gotten those AI cameras for my trucks, and I don't know if it's the same company you're using, Jeff, but I get alert emails and stuff like that, and coachable moments. It's really cool, man. A lot of people are against AI, but man, you know, you can't escape it. And I say a lot of us, it's here now. It's gonna grow. I think we're gonna have to lean into the whole AI thing. But back to the cameras, I was requiring my drivers to get a camera because I hire owner operators. I was requiring that the drivers get a camera, make sure it had a large memory card, and maybe send me updates that the camera worked at random. You know, I would ask for, hey, let me get, your SD card. Well, I had a driver have an accident recently, and he basically said something about that. Like, I basically had to let him go after looking at the footage, and he said something to me. He said, well, dang, I really didn't have to show you the footage. I could have did like the other guy and just not show you. I could have said that the camera wasn't working. I was like, well, you didn't. And since you say that, I appreciate that. Let me go order some of these cameras for myself and require that they're in all the guys' trucks, and I have, no matter what, I can have the access to it versus a memory card being chipped out the window or a camera, quote unquote, not working at the time. Because that's what happened with my first accident in 2024. The camera wasn't working. And it was a very low impact accident. And, that person, they hired a lawyer and they got about 20,000 plus from the insurance, plus, their vehicle fix, which the vehicle didn't have any damage at all, but I digress.
May I ask you something off topic, Tim? You say you got rid of the driver because he had an accident.
Yes.
It was his fault. Do you feel like a driver, once he has the accident, do you think he's a better driver at that point? You don't think that he's a better driver at that point, but he's less likely to have another one anytime soon?
Well,
he could be a better driver, but has he got a better attitude? My bad. Go ahead, Tim.
That's a great question. Some people learn from their mistakes. I actually, when the accident, I had a few accidents this year with drivers. It's been one of my worst years when it comes to accidents. But I was talking to my insurance agent about this, and he said, based off of his experience, and the many years of insurance that when a driver had a following too closely accident and the company kept that driver on, they had another one eventually.
Right.
He said more times than none, that driver that they kept on for following too closely had another one. So I guess I took that to heart, and I trust this guy's opinion. I've been working with him for years. You probably know the guy too.
Oh, you got the same guy? Oh. He
Yep,
said,
that
okay.
guy. Yeah.
Okay.
And I took his anyway, I decided, and it wasn't just that, it was also a business decision because you got to let the insurance know that you're serious about, that there's some action being taken. You can't just keep guys on that are causing incidents and causing trouble. I had to basically let my insurance know that there's some changes being made. Hey, I'm adding cameras. I'm adding safety meetings quarterly and reporting them to you. I'm also I'm making adjustments in my staff. To me, that was my way of showing them that things are changing, and they renewed me. I thought they wasn't going to renew me, and my rates did go up, but they renewed me. So I'm happy about that. I'm still here, and that's
Live to
really
fight
all
another day.
Yeah, that's
What
all I got.
What will you do with Tim if Tim had an accident?
Hey, I don't know. I probably had to talk to myself, man. Like, look here, you need to straighten up.
Tighten up, boy.
All
Okay.
right.
Tighten
But
up.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair enough.
but Jeff, are you trolling me, or do you feel
No, these are just questions I always have for people.
Yeah.
all right? Because you be asking funny, you be joking with folks with a straight face, Jeff. I just don't know sometimes.
Yeah.
No,
I wasn't joking.
that's
But
his style, man.
it was a serious question though,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if you have a policy though, no accidents. If you have no accident policy, if you do, you gone. But what happens if you actually have the accident yourself?
You got to pay the cost when you're the boss, man.
You pay the cost every day.
Every day.
I'll share something before we get out of here. Recently, I was at my yard. I was leaving. I was in my personal car, and I ain't told nobody this story. So y'all, here we go. I was leaving my yard, and there's a light right there at my yard, and I always leave my wallet in the big truck. So I start tapping my pockets, and with my wallet. And my dumb self looked back in the back seat to grab my book bag where my wallet should be, and I let my foot off the brake just a little bit. Tapped the car in front of me. Tapped the car.
In your personal truck?
Yes.
Okay.
First thing I did, backed up a little bit, hopped out my personal car, and asked the people, are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. Look, there's a little damage to your car. Everybody's fine. Would you mind if I just go to Bank of America? You can follow me there, and I give you $1,000 right now. We just forget about this whole thing. They were shocked. They really? Yeah. Bank of America's right there. You can follow me. I'll take $1,000 out, and that'll cover that and maybe a little bit extra in your pocket. They were more than happy to take that $1,000. That's how I stay accountable. That hurt my pride. That hurt my pockets, and I learned a lesson in that. Will my owner operators do that? Hell no. I can tell you about 4 of them. Well, what the hell we got insurance for? Why would I give her $1,000 if we got insurance? So that's just a little example of something that really happened to me in 2024 that I went ahead and did because I know the consequences of that little innocent act. That was my fault. Would have been 3 years of insurance rates, maybe a ticket, whatever. I got the girl on video taking the cash. I got her on video saying that she's okay.
Was it a nice car? Was it a nice car or just like a raggedy car?
It was like it was a Hyundai. It wasn't a newer model, but
she came up.
It wasn't an old model. She was happy to take that money.
She came up, didn't she? She needed that money.
She works in the area. She sees me. She waves, and her car is fixed.
She told you could tap that.
We're both happy. Look,
never mind.
Jeff, we appreciate you having you on tonight. You got any final thoughts for the people that's been watching? Anything you want to add to this stream
Well,
for the people?
that story you just gave us, though, you really went to the bank and withdrew $1,000 out of your own account? Being a
The
trucker, you had $1,000 to withdraw?
You're doing good, boy.
Yeah, you're doing really good.
I'm just glad that I worked so closely to a bank. Me being a black man and that woman being of another culture was trusting of me to not drive off,
Yeah.
and follow me to the bank that was less than half a mile away, and let me withdraw that money and give it to her.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah.
let me add one thing, though, regarding this accident, though. There's a lot of people who don't realize what you do in your car affects your license, period. Your insurance company is looking at everything.
Yes.
They're looking at everything. And one of the things that can be helpful, though, is have an attorney. If you do get a citation, go to court and fight it. They can get it knocked down quite a bit if they just go to court.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It may cost you some money, but it's well worth it, though.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's well worth it.
Well, I appreciate your final thoughts once again, Jeff. Salim, you got any final thoughts?
Hey man, look, man, it's been fun. It's been a fun one. I appreciate you coming on, Jeffrey. Like we all in this trucking space, but as you know, the Slack Adjusters, we do a lot of different topics. And if anything you're interested, we're glad to have you come back and chop it up with us. As the year progresses, we need to do more topics like this. We need to come up with that.
Pattern creation.
Yes, we need to get up with that pattern creation. That's going to be the theme of 2025, y'all. Pattern creation. That's the theme for 2025. And we've been around for years. Like this is my 11th year. This is your 10th year. Tim, you're right. You're right there too. You know, 8, 7, 8 or 9 or whatever. So we
about 11, 12 years, brother.
Oh, nice.
I'm sorry. I got my license in 2008.
No, we're not talking about your license. We're
owner
talking
operators,
about
8 years as a owner op.
Right. So we all seen a certain kind of trend. We're all here, and we got other people in the game that we've been rocking with. 2025, we need to figure out pattern creation, and we need to see what's going to be the outlook for 2026. And this is how bosses do it. You know, a true boss is going to. We're not looking day to day, check to check. We're thinking about year to year. You know, 5-year plan, 10-year plan. But next year, what do we do now, and curve the game? What do we need to do to make the game do what we need it to do? And that can happen. You know, we're some of the premier flatbed carriers in Georgia right now, in the Metro Atlanta area, and you can't tell me nothing different. So we can implement change. We got to be safe. We got to be responsible. We got to be clean and courteous and all that type of stuff. But so now we can do that. So I would love to see that happen. So and I appreciate you coming on here and helping us kind of form this and everything. And Tim, you as always, you know, you're always in character. You know, I can appreciate that about you. You know what I'm saying? You got your proper PPE on and off the job. You see what I'm saying? So this brings a lot of value to what we do. Value. You look at, you know what I'm saying? So thank you for that, Tim. And that's all I gotta have. That's all I gotta say after it. I just want to see
If anybody,
wow.
Hey, thank you, Salim. Thank you, Jeff. Please like, subscribe to the channel. Jeff, please share with some of your friends, colleagues, and y'all let us know what y'all think in the comments. Y'all got any predictions or any insight or anything we spoke of or something we left out? Leave it in the comments below. And we're out of here, Salim.
Good night, guys. Thank you for the
Jeff.
invite.
Peace.
Enjoyed it.
Yes, sir.